Today, I'm gonna teach you how to make a teriyaki pineapple tofu recipe that uses our tofu freezer trick to make this meaty, chickeny texture in the tofu that you are gonna have to taste to believe. This recipe is going to become the love of your summer life. And yes, I realize that sounds dramatic. Who talks about food that way? Well, if you don't believe me, you're just gonna have to make it yourself and let me know what you think then. Let's get in the kitchen and I'll show you what to do. First thing you're going to do is mix together your marinade. We have a mix of sesame oil and olive oil. I like to use an oil-based marinade for marinating tofu because you're trying to cook all of the water out of the tofu to get a really tender, meaty result. So you don't want to add too much water back into it. That's going to affect the texture. That was our vegan chicken bouillon powder to give it a chickeny vibe. Here is some teriyaki sauce. And some garlic and red onion. Tofu is frozen and thawed and pressed. You're going to slice it into those cutlets. I do that by slicing the block in half, slicing each of those halves in half, and then slicing each of those pieces in half. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Try to make it as equal as you can because then they'll cook equally, but as you can see, I did not slice it perfectly. It's still going to come out just fine. All right, next we're gonna marinate those cutlets. I like to add a little bit of marinade to the bottom of my container. I'm just using like an old takeout container, rectangular. Then I'll put a little layer of marinade on top. And this marinade, I added 2 tablespoons of the chicken bouillon powder. So it's a little thick. All you gotta do is take a rubber spatula and just spread it around in a nice even layer. We'll add another layer of tofu cutlets on top of this. Put a little marinade on top of them, and then we'll put this in the fridge. And then we will put this in the fridge, covered for at least an hour, but if you really want like some extra flavor bonus points, just leave it in there overnight. You can also refreeze this tofu in the marinade. You can let it soak up for like 30 minutes to an hour and then pop it in the freezer. And then you have pre-marinated tofu that you can just defrost and bake for an easy meal. Easy meal prep. All right, let's get this in the fridge. Once they're marinated, you're gonna pop them out of the marinade, put them on a foil-lined baking sheet, and then I just like to brush a little excess marinade. Some of them don't need it. I can take some off this one, on each of them. And then we're going to bake these at 350 Fahrenheit for about 40 to 50 minutes, stopping once or twice to flip and just check them. Every oven will be a little different, and every tofu, every brand of tofu you use will be a little different too, because some have more water in them than others. So my tofu is done baking. As you can see, I have it in a bowl here. While it was baking, I just cooked down some pineapple juice to get this beautiful pineapple reduction. We're gonna use this as our tofu glaze. Just gonna pour it on top here and toss them all together with the glaze. Ooh, it smells amazing. Cannot wait to eat them.
Ooh, look how coated and sticky. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be good. Once they're nice and coated, you can serve them sliced up like this. We like to slice them on a bias like this. Serve them with rice, some pineapple salsa, ooh, some spicy teriyaki mayo. Look at how meaty that inside texture is. Just so flavorful. These are gonna be a new summer favorite. Can't wait to hear what you think. Until then, I'll be snacking on these. Oh, that glaze.